So upon initially waking up spiritually, I sat down and I looked at the people around me and I looked at myself, and I realized how much of a slave human beings are to things like their dopamine fixes, belief systems, fears, and their thinking, essentially. They're so imprisoned within their own minds. It's all up here. As the Kabbalion says within the principle of mentalism, all is mind. We experience our reality from this tiny little place right here. So freedom for me is really being able to navigate this reality whilst being a master of my experience, a master of my mind, rather than a slave to it. We also possess this freedom in this moment right now to make a change. If you have spent so many years being completely enslaved and controlled and just really imprisoned by your mind space, make a decision right now. That's it. I'm changing this. At which point you make that decision and you switch into a whole other timeline, a timeline that is of a higher vibrational frequency, a timeline that is more in alignment with who you are naturally, because naturally what you are is free. As human beings, we naturally yearn for freedom. We feel an alluring pull towards liberation. Such attraction appears to be imprinted upon us, predisposed within the very makeup of our beingness in this lifetime. It is not the ego personality that strives for freedom. Rather, it is the soul that is expressing a deeply ingrained knowledge of the truth that freedom is our birthright. I feel a burning passion within me every time the subject of freedom is raised, and it has been an essential theme in my life. I've spent many years cultivating a personal sense of freedom, and I feel so intensely drawn towards helping others find and claim their personal freedom and help them to wake up to their inherent power beyond the illusory barriers that appear to be placed before them. Regarding matters of free will, I do believe in karma. I do believe that we are playing out things that we are supposed to play out within the principle of cause and effect. I do believe that there is a divine orchestration taking place, something that is way beyond anything that we could ever try to grasp with our little minds. We can't comprehend that. However, I do believe that all of this takes place on the higher planes of existence. And all truths are but half truths. Therefore, there is a lower plane of existence. And actually, within this lower plane of existence, there are things that are within our control. And these are things like, yes, how well we have mastered our own minds, how well we're able to navigate through our emotional body, how well we're able to let life unfold gracefully, allowing this kind of rhythm to take place and allowing, all of this to unfold, remaining largely unaffected by its happenings, letting it all take place. So we want to really rule our human experience on the lower plane through mastery. If freedom for you is not found within the mind, it's found within the external world, all I have to say about that is the principle of correspondence. Everything starts from within and then is then reflected in the outer world. It's the law of mirroring, essentially. So if you want to find external freedom, find that freedom within yourself, cultivate that sense of freedom within yourself, and it will be reflected in your outer world. On my personal journey of freedom, yes, I did find that I needed to wake up spiritually through the mind, and this is actually waking up from my thoughts. But there's another kind of awakening that simultaneously was taking place, and that was through actually educating myself. We want to read the books, we want to follow our intuition and let it guide us towards whatever information we are ready for, whatever information we need to read and find out about that at that current point in time. Because what that's going to do is it's going to uncover this true sense of freedom, awakening ourselves by really kind of revealing the layers of caging that we weren't even aware of. To a large extent, we are trapped within the limiting confinements of society's conditioning and mental constructs and belief systems. We're trapped within the matrix. So, through studying spiritual universal laws, we open our sleepy eyes to a magnificent world way beyond what we had previously been led to believe. Such laws infiltrate our consciousness with the light of awareness, and we find freedom through hidden mystical knowledge. Such gnosis enables us to better play in the reality that we live in. You see, actually waking up to things like the principle of vibration or the law of attraction and that kind of thing, it's the most popular spiritual law, and it is very handy, if you will. It can be a bit of a trap, but it's also so handy because it grants us this incredible sense of freedom whilst we remember and utilize our inherent truth as creator beings. So you see, rigid belief systems and closed-mindedness, it kind of acts as these steel boxes that keep us tightly enclosed within them. And an open mind and flexibility within one's way of perceiving the world, it kind of opens us up to this liberating perspective that can totally transform our life and gracing us with a real deep sense of freedom. Upon waking up to the magic and magnificence of life, we learn how to create our human world, and with the practice of universal laws, we begin to integrate wisdom and mastery. Okay, so in any conversation about freedom, we have to talk about fear. Upon waking up, we open our sleepy eyes and we actually begin to realize the illusion of fear and its devastating effects that it actually can have on those that succumb to its seductive nature. As we gaze down upon the population from an elevated position, we can better see how the emotion of fear is strategically used to control the mass population. We see that fear imprisons entire societies, propelling them into a state of compliance that subsequently weakens them, blinding them to their inherent power. Consequently, many sleepwalk through life, conforming to a system that may not resonate with their deeper truth. So much of the time it is our egoic mind that is just trying to protect us with all these fearful thoughts, choosing to not actually play in this paradigm of fear. It's a choice that can be made to those that have actually woken up to the ultimate truth, which is, I hate to be cheesy, but love. Such clarity places us at a crossroads when approaching life and its continuous options. With blinkers removed, we consciously choose love at every fork in the road, knowing that it will lead to freedom. Walking the path of love, we choose to infiltrate it into all aspects of our life, including conversation, media exposure, thoughts, etc. Now, let's talk about witness consciousness, because this is what is truly transformational when it comes to freedom. And this is what has brought me these kind of moments that have been sprinkled along my awakening where I've sat back and I've thought, holy shit, I feel so free. And that is witness consciousness. So, life, we are subjected to this law of rhythm. And so therefore life will inevitably throw us into ups and downs. We're constantly challenged, and that's good because that's good for our growth, but it can feel like we have a lack of freedom at times. But you see, the thing is that the majority of the time, really, it's actually not the event itself that's causing our suffering in that moment and that feeling of this lack of freedom. It's actually what our mind is saying about the event. That's what is really kind of keeping us truly incarcerated in that moment. So, the voice, it's the voice in the mind. It sounds just like us. We have this voice in our mind, many of us. This is how we experience it anyway. And it does sound like us, but the thing is that it wears many faces. 1 hour it will whisper positive thoughts in our ear, and then the next it will bombard us with negative ones. So the thinking mind, it's deceitful, it's two-faced, it's untrustworthy, it's dishonest, and above all, it's controlling. It tries to control us. But actually, witness consciousness, what happens is that we awaken to something that is far more powerful than this voice in the mind. To truly transcend the limiting confinements of the human mind, we must begin to see our true nature beyond it. We must stop identifying with the thoughts and create a sense of I that is instead the observer of our thoughts. Through our ability to watch and witness our mind, we begin to shift into an entirely different awareness, gaining a higher perspective. The practice of witness consciousness is so liberating. I cannot even begin to describe the sense of freedom that I have really fallen into whilst practicing this. I've cultivated a whole other consciousness within me, one that witnesses, and it is a practice like no other. It completely enables me to transcend these negative thought patterns, to transcend so much of my suffering simply because I'm detached from my thoughts and I see the bigger picture. And our life is changed forever when we do this, because we're enlightened to a sense of this kind of flow and simplicity. We ride the rhythm with grace, and we're no longer slaves to the tricks of the mind. We see past its cunning nature and we dwell in this higher vantage point, one that is kind of free as the birds that fly. We come into this human life and we do have amnesia, and we're faced with taxes, bills, relationships, and all of the other things that we have to kind of face on a daily basis to just navigate through this world. And we forget who we are. We forget this true existence that we have. We forget the miraculousness of existence. Embodying this kind of awareness that we do begin to awaken through this practice, what it does is it helps us to see beyond this physical dimension. These enlightened people, these enlightened individuals that walk the planet right now, that's what they say that they experience. They don't mind what happens anymore. They're not clinging on to this physical reality. And there is such a deep sense of freedom within that. Science has proven that the body consists of empty atoms, concluding that we are actually, in fact, something like 99.9999999% space within us. So the material aspects of the body, i.e. form, they may represent our physical experience and the vessel that actually allows us to navigate this world. And that may be known as the little me, essentially. Or within the Kabbalion, it's called the Am. Whereas the big me, this represents our vast space, the vast space or the formlessness, the nothingness, the spiritual self. It represents that 99.99999% of the atom. And this is the part of us that is inherently divine and connected to all that is. It needn't worry about freedom because it is freedom. And this is the big me. Or in the Kabbalion, it's called the I. So the more we actually identify with this big me, or again, another term that's used is the I am presence, then, the more that we actually awaken to what this big me is, and the more we embody it on a daily basis, the more we really see that energy, the emotion is just energy in motion. We're able to really detach from that emotional outburst that we're having and just watch it unfold within our emotional body, within this landscape that we have here that can all be observed. There's constantly things going on in there. You know, we can just observe it. We don't have to be continuously pushed and pulled by our thoughts and our emotions. We can just sit there from this place of peaceful observation. Let it all unfold. Before I finish, I just want to touch on what I often see a lot, which is people blaming other people and other things for their, perceived lack of freedom. And, this might be a little bit controversial, but I do believe that blaming anything for our perceived lack of freedom it's actually a mindset that will only perpetuate our suffering, and it can keep us trapped within victim mentality and within fear-based within the fear-based controlling nature of the mind. Nobody and nothing can control our beingness. We are solely responsible for cultivating peace and through mastering and transcending our thoughts and limited awareness. Our awakening, it is magical. It really is. Our awakening is freedom. It's, we're so graced for this to have happened to us. I often see people that have been spiritually awake for years and they forget how absolutely awesome it is to be awake in this lifetime. And the journey of awakening, it represents this glowing light in our life, and this glowing light, it holds the key to our freedom. And it's never ending, it's limitless. There's this massive great big staircase that we are climbing with this awakening, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to this feeling of pure freedom, one step at a time. Fundamentally, what awakening does is it actually wakes us up to the glowing light of our truth beyond this temporary physical existence. That is pure freedom right there. And with every single little deepening that we have, we step closer and closer into our true nature, which again is pure freedom. So thank you so much for watching this video. My name's Jasmine. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye 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 bye.